I'm on a quest to touch the brass less when I reload and still get good reloads or concentricity or accuracy or whatever you want to call it. This is a Peterson brand new 284 Winchester case, and each of those little hash marks are 500 thousandths, or 2 hash marks makes a thousandth of an inch. So this one I'm going to say is a thousandth of an inch or less. This was my older reloading process. Let's see, we got 6, 7. So this is straight out of the gun. This is also Peterson brass. It's been fired twice. And of course that was right out of the gun, so it should be straight. This is the reload for it. And we got 2 or 3 there in there. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, let you call it 2 or 3 thousandths run out. This is a case fresh out of the gun, shot 5 times. Again, that's pretty straight. Might be the straightest one of the bunch. This is my Lewis reloading. By the way, these were shot 5 times. So that's my newest don't touch the brass concept. I think that's pretty accurate. We're pretty consistent. Now let's see how I did it. One of the things that I found, every time I put brass in a single stage press, I commonly use a Forster coax. It would take 18 to 20 seconds for basically each pull of the handle. For 100 cases, we're talking, I don't know, roughly 30 minutes. We'll figure out the math later if you want. So I've got this Dillon 750 with a case feeder, and it goes quite a bit faster. I just looked at my notes. Doing 100 cases, just decapping, which I'm going to do here. Universal decapping die, anything will work. This one's a Mighty Armory, I think. Takes 5.5, maybe 6 minutes to do 100 cases. I'm going to load it up here with the case feeder. Makes quite a bit of racket. Now when I pull the handle, it'll drop one down, load the tube, push it into the brass ring that holds it. Pull the handle, it decaps it, feeds another one in. Pushing forward on the handle would prime the cases if I had it set up for it. The 750 and the 650, XL 650 and XL 750 from Dillon, are the only progressive presses I've used, with one exception. I have the Super 1050 as well. But as far as Hornady or RCBS or any of the others, progressive presses, I'm sure they'll work just as good, perhaps even better. I don't know if I said it, this has got 5 stations in the head, and you can do as many as 5 different things every pull of the handle. I will quite often only do 1 or 2 processes at a time to make sure I get it right. So I'm going to do the rest of the 100 here, and we'll come back and do something else. I don't know if you want a timer up there or not. No, we don't need a timer. Back in a minute. Yeah, I'm just finishing up 50, I'm sorry. I had it divided into 50 case groups. So, didn't take long at all. So, these are all deprimed. On to the next step. Well, next comes step 2. Annealing. I don't even know if I advocate it. If it going to keep the brass a long time, I don't know, maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. I used to have an Annealese that worked quite well. This is the Annealing Made Perfect machine from New Zealand, Mark II, and the Amp Mate, the device that automatically feeds the cases into the annealer, and of course another Dillon case feeder. I don't have a time on this. It's not real fast, but when it's running super smooth, I can go out and do other things and stay in the room as long as I hear a beep, don't hear a beep. I can do other things. So that helps a lot. And I don't have to handle the brass. In reality, you'll see that maybe it would be faster to hand load the annealing machine rather than use the Amp Mate. But again, I'm trying to get away from handling brass. Crank it up and see what happens here. Case feeding tube is loaded. I think we're ready to go. You don't want to use a plastic bin that catch the shells. Also, you want to keep the cords away from the hot brass. And that's about it, I guess. Usually if I'm going to show a machine off, it goofs up. Tonight we got lucky. Things are running pretty smooth. They usually do, unless I'm trying to show it off. I'll look at it from a different angle here. Of course, as soon as I said how wonderful this thing's running, it hung up. We got 13 straight, and then it push the start button again and see what happens. I guess we're off to the races. We use a little bread pan that my wife no longer uses because I thought the brass might be a little soft. I throw a paper rag in there. I use a lot of blue towels. Come on a roll. Don't use cloth or nylon microfiber rags. They melt and stick to the brass. I had one stick to the power cord of the amp mate one of the last times I used it. But, it's hot. You got to expect it. Alright, that's pretty much real time, and we're what, 24 into 50, so it's going fairly smooth. We'll go on to the next step. I'm not going to try to show you how to lube your cases, but these are the ones we just ran through the annealer. So what would this be? Step 3. Shake up my mixture here. Spray it a little bit. Mix it around a little bit. Let it sit a little bit. And we'll go on to the next one. I'm going to size the brass in the neck next. The reason I've got the 750 and the 650, and I use them more than the 1050 by a whole bunch, is that I can do small jobs and change fast. To change out the decapping, I pull 2 pins and I slide the head out. Put the bin over here. And to put a new head in, you just slide it in. Put the pins in. Go to work. You're done. Now, I just started using a different tool head. Makes it a little more work. But we'll pull the pins. We'll take this tool head out. This has got a Redding S-type die. It's a bushing die. I don't know if I got that in there or not. Redding S-type die, bushing die, without any decapping involved. So I pulled that out. The bushing's in there, and that's about it. I'm using an Armanov, A-R-M-A-N-O-V, Armanov head and die ring. Look it up, see what you think about it. And I'm using 2 mandrels to size the neck. They, what do they look like? I got the size written on it. I put it at 2 mandrels to increase the size slowly so I don't jam it up or overwork the brass. This is a 2815, and the next one goes up to I don't know, probably 2,000 less. I can't remember what I used on there. Maybe a little less. This one is a 28.3. So at 283, it's 1,000 less than the bullet diameter. Put it in. We're almost done. The Armanov head has 2 screws that hold the head up against the slot that the head slides into, so it takes all the play out. And that's the difference. Better turn this off because you don't need to see me fumble with a screwdriver. All right, here we go. Alright, this is going to size it with a headspace of what have I got? 2.750, and this should be 2.749 or something like that. I should probably shorten that up just a little bit, but let's see how it works. Drop the shell, puts it into the sizer, resizes it. The mandrel expands the first part in the neck. An empty space. It sizes the second part of the neck. And we're done with our first case. Each one of these three sections would take roughly 30 minutes. I still haven't done the math on that. 18 to 20 seconds per whatever on a single press. But let's see what we got here. I don't know if you can see that. 1.749. I think I said 2 before. That, of course, isn't right. 1.749. Next time I'll shorten that up just a little bit. But every time I pull the handle now, I get 3 operations out of the way. You notice I haven't cleaned the brass yet. That's coming up. That's all there is to it. We'll cut this one off. Alright, next step. I think this is 5. All I'm going to do is I've got a brush that I brush the primer pockets with, and a brush that I brush the necks with. This is a deburring tool for primer pockets. I'm not going to use that. You only use that once per case. And I don't remember if I've done it to these cases or not. It's not real exciting. I got junk all over the place. Oh, well. RCBS, I don't know what they call this, Case Master or something. But brush the neck, brush the primer pocket, brush the primer pocket, brush the neck. I didn't used to do this, but when I started not cleaning the brass every time, I guess I felt a little guilty. I ought to do some of this stuff. But you get the idea. We'll I think I'm going to tumble this brass, clean it. I use corncob media, which is about used up. getting so it takes longer and longer to clean. And I mixed it with a little car polish. I think they call it New Finish. I don't think there's any good, bad, or better car polish, but I also put a little bit of lacquer thinner in with the car polish. Mix it up with a stick a little bit, and let it tumble all on its own for a while till you get rid of the clumps and everything kind of gets evened out. And I don't do that very often either. But I think the lacquer thinner helps mix the car polish up with the corncob media, and also I think the lacquer thinner keeps the dust down. A lot of people wet tumble or wet clean their brass. They use stainless steel media. They use Dawn dish soap and a little bit of lemon shine, but that makes a mess, I think. And when you get done with it, the cases are going to corrode, not immediately, but over a fairly short period of time, compared to when I use a little car polish in there. Car polish, they really don't corrode. Well, if they did, you're not shooting enough. I don't know. But after I tumble them, that's when I do the final case prep. I will trim, chamfer, and deburr. I always do that last, or I'll do it before I tumble, after I tumble, or clean the brass, because with all that cleaning action and whatnot, you put little dings in the neck, and after you chamfer and deburr them, they're pretty close to razor sharp. And I got that nice edge on there. I don't think there's any reason to ding them up. So I'll save that for the last brass prep step that I use. I'm sure you're thoroughly mesmerized by this action. So I think what I'm going to do, I've got more than half of the 50 done here. I'm going to throw them in the tumbler for an hour or so. I've got a little timer that's built into, not built in, but plugs into the wall. Push a button and you can either have it run continuously, or for an hour, or 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours, I think. I think I'll put it in for an hour. That'll clean off this case lube. It really won't clean the brass real well. There'll still be soot marks. This stuff has been fired 5 times, I think, maybe 6. And so it's getting a little on the dirty side. And I really don't care about the appearance of it. I'm not trying to make jewelry, so if it's reasonably clean, gets the job done, it's all that's really necessary, I think. But, you know, talk to somebody who knows or has a different idea. So with that, perhaps in the morning. See you then. Well, we might as well go through the whole thing here. My tumbler, I don't know, it's a green one. It's a little low on tumbling media. Whose it is, I don't know. I'll look for a minute here. Cabela's. And I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but here's the switch. Got it on for an hour. And it looks like it's going to mix up pretty good. Alright, good night. See you everybody. Alright. The tumbling is complete. Yeah, they came up pretty good, but I think we could use some new media in there. It's a Frankfurt Arsenal media separator. Not the handiest or best built, but it's been in my shop a long time. So I guess that speaks for itself. Yeah, we'll pour the media back in the container later. Now I'm going to trim, chamfer, and deburr. This is a Henderson trimming device, and I think it's their second generation. Sorry about that. I'm looking for Short Action Customs Comparator. I think I've got it set up to trim at 160, 1.60. 2.160. Better check that. .160, and this one is 166. Still not right. Let me check it again. Yep, 2.160. This one was 166, I think, which surprisingly long. Don't know how that came about, but you just put the case in the collet, tighten it, turn it on, of course. Probably be just a hair longer. I got 157 on it. I'm sure you're enjoying this. In fact, I'm going to turn this off and we'll Alright, I think I got it now. Might have just been a little bit of dirt or something on the collet, but turned on. Yep, pretty close. Close enough anyway. I don't know why these are so long. Normally there's not much to take off of this, unless I forgot to do it the last time or two, which is always possible. Well, you've seen enough how that works. You'd always go to the internet, watch a real pro do it, and I'm going to finish these up, and then we'll probably prime them and put some powder in it. This is a Primal Rights priming tool. It's pretty expensive. I like to use it. I don't know that I'd buy it again. There is no service. When I got it, I was missing a pickup tip on one of the priming tubes and got no help to get it replaced or a suggestion for a replacement. Turned out the ones off of the Dillon could be made to work. A couple of years later I sent it back because it was getting pretty ragged. I've been doing a lot of hard priming on military brass. It may have been able to had the primer's pockets swaged a little better. He sent it back without doing anything to it, saying that it wasn't designed for that. And he probably dropped it on the way too, because the little knob in the back here to work the shuttle is bent, and he could have at least replaced that. It's pretty consistent, although these two screws that hold a shell holder in place are supposed to be finger tight, and they come loose all the time, so there has to be some amount of deviation in there because of the loosening of the shell holder. But let's see how 10 work. Push the slide back, that primer drops down, push it forward. I checked the first couple to make sure I got them in right, and does a pretty nice job. Shuttle back, shuttle forward, prime, looks good. I store the prime cartridges with the primer up so I can see that I didn't miss one, or put one in upside down. got a pretty nice feel for how the primer is going in. They all seem fairly consistent. You got a good piece of brass to work with. I used it on, like I said, a lot of military brass, 308, 223, that, like I said, you know, probably my fault. They could have been swaged better, but they weren't. And, like I said, Primal Rights guy. Kind of forgot who I was. All right, now I'm going to load up 40 more primers. Looks like 41 more primers. And I'm going to see if I can get it to work on the Dillon 750. I have that set up for large rifle primers, and it ought to work pretty good. If the alignment's right, which I haven't tried yet. I've taken the tool head out, and I should probably have a tool head in there with a hold down device for seating the primers. Seats the primers from underneath, and if it takes too much pressure to seat them, it could lift up the shell plate and not get a concentric primer seating. But clean brass, clean primers. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope it's lined up. Once again, I'm going to use the Dillon case feeder. Love that. Drop the case down. It seats it in the first position. I see there's a primer there. It'll move to the second position and seat the primer when I push the handle forward. It felt like it seated pretty good. I'm going to pull it out. There's a little spring that holds it in there. And yeah, I think I would normally like to see it set a little deeper, but it'll work. And what do we got? 41 to do here. It's lined up pretty good. I don't feel any binding when it goes in. And after a while, you can feel how the primers are going in, whether the handle's moving far enough. See how the next one turns out. Yeah. Again, I think I'd like to get it a little deeper, but it's deep enough. And that's priming. Next comes powder. Well, now comes the powder. Using Hodgdon 4350, 50 grains. I try to remember to rotate the bottle before I use it, especially if it's been sitting or I just got it, it's been traveling. I don't know if there's any weight difference and stuff, or we'll get it mixed up. We're getting very close to the end of this jug. We're using the Trickler V3 by Adam McDonald in Canada. And the Trickler I'm using instead of his is an Ingenuity Precision. Ingenuity Precision. And I like it. It's very similar to the way the Prometheus trickles powder. I don't have a disc, but there's a disc in there with, oh, I don't know, 50 cutouts around the circumference of the disc, just big enough for a flake of powder to go into. And it comes with different discs to accommodate different powders. And you'll see it's pretty slick and it's pretty accurate. I'm going to put a couple of throws in the cup here to top it off. Then on my iPad over here, I'm going to enter the target weight of 50. And there. Drop 49.1. And it meters up to 50. The scale is plus or minus 0.02. So I could get a 50.02 or a 49.98. And they'd basically be the same. I say that because that's about what a kernel of powder weighs. And this scale can't measure anything more accurate than that. The handy dandy little cup is from Area 419. And so is the funnel in the little spout. It's a metal funnel, so I don't usually have to worry about static buildup. And or bridging of the powder. At least with the stuff I've been using. It's got a little stepper motor that it's using. It's kind of the ticking or growling sound that you're hearing. $50. Incidentally, when I was priming, done priming on the Dillon, I came back and stood all the cartridges up in the case block, and there was one that didn't get primed. So that saved me some embarrassment of perhaps not noticing it when I'm putting powder in and making a mess. Not that I'm not gonna make a mess, but it's kind of less likely. 50. Very few overthrows or underthrows. There's an overthrow. I don't know how that happened. But, like I said, when you go to demo something, that's when it's not going to work as smoothly as it usually does anyway. 49.98, 0.02 tenths of a grain off, which is, again, that's all the scale can do. $50. Okay. The air conditioner just came on, and this isn't always the most accurate when there's breezes in the room. So it's jumping around a little bit now. 49.9, and that's where it stopped. 49.6, 0.96. So you've seen 11 of them in a couple of maybe problem areas. Ought to be good enough. We'll put some bullets in it next. Well, put some bullets in here. First I'm check, make sure I got powder. And all the cartridges. And they all seem to be at about the same level. Using Berger 180 grain hybrid target bullets. And usually just plug the holes there, so easy to get to when I start seating the bullets. I'm going to use a K&M Arbor press, and it has a little converter on it to make it read on the scale up here in pounds. I think it's not their lightweight one. The lightweight only measures a couple of pounds. This is, I don't know, measures quite a bit more than that. Not that you really need it, but This was a little cheaper. Also, I think to do it over again, I'm not sure I would buy it with the scale, with the gauge. After you use it a few times, get a feel for what it is, and I just think it might be a waste of money. As you can see, I don't seem to have too much of a limit on a budget for shooting, and I guess I really don't. I buy a lot of things on impulse. That darn internet. It'll get me about every time. But I've learned quite a bit from it, and I certainly enjoy what I've learned. I don't know if I'll put it on this video, but I did some studying with 223 cases last fall. One of the things I did was I seeded I don't know if this is going to make sense. I partially seeded the bullet 3 different times into the case. The first one I seeded it at random depth, and I measured the difference. And the difference in the seeding depths was pretty considerable. I've got it on a piece of paper someplace. And then I seeded again to another random depth without pulling it. I just seeded it further using a different die and a different press. And it was better, but not as good as the method I use now. Set this off. I'm using L.E. Wilson seeding dies, and that seems to be the most consistent, and therefore I'll call it the most accurate. I'm looking to see this this bullet at 2.432. Haven't checked it for a while. Let's see how it works. The base, the die goes over the top. This one's got an adjustment on it. Screw it in, screw it out, tighten it down. This is, if you look at it, this is kind of scary. I put a fully loaded shell in there with a bullet, and I think right now it looks more like a pipe bomb than a rifle cartridge. I think, oops, and there goes the powder. We'll get this one later. Where was I going with this? This is kind of like a putt palm, I think. If there was something on the surface here, the seating area, you put the primer on it, pull down on this arbor press handle. I think it could be lead to some rapid what do they call that? Some rapid disassembly and partial dismemberment. So I try to always use the base, kind of maybe protect the primer a little bit. Put it down, put it over, push it under the die or the arbor handle, and you can see it goes up 5, 10, it started seating, there's 10, and it's fully seated at about 10 pounds of pressure. That's about normal. You might have noticed I've got 3 different calipers. I've got short action custom comparators in there. This one is made for the bullet, so I can check the overall length based the ogive, or what it perceives to be the ogive. And I'm looking for, I forget, 2.432. 2.43635. Seems a little long. 2.432. That's pretty close. 434. All right. We're gonna go with that. Let's try another one. These are sitting a little long. 2.435. Sure, I got this zeroed. Yeah, there we go. Wasn't zeroed properly. I'm still going to shorten that up about 2 thousandths. So, you probably don't need to sit here and watch this, but you're welcome. Gonna shorten it so this gets cranked in. Well, I got that pretty tight. Turn this off and come back and when I get it straightened out. All right, I think I got it fixed. What happened some time ago, this set screw goes into a felt pad to protect the threads on the micrometer type part here, and I lost that felt pad. So I stuck a piece of lead shot in there to kind of protect it. And I think when I tightened it, it really locked down on the threads. So I had to cut a horse on it to get it to move. But we're back in business. I don't know why some of these measurements are off, but I guess that's why we measure. 2.432, 2.432532. There we go. And this is one of the longer parts, or some of the pieces that take the longest. Seating the bullets. That one felt a little harder, not bad. I put a different arbor press out here. This is called a Bald Eagle arbor press. It's quite a bit cheaper than this K&M, and but it gets the job done. It's I think this one is about $95. Yeah, I'm not going to tighten that up. And it does a very nice job. And Grizzly Machines sells these, and I forget the name of the man that owns Grizzly. Shiraz? Something like that. I guess he's a very famous F-class shooter. And in his Grizzly book, he has a magazine, catalog. He has a few things for the shooter in there. Something to keep in mind. Wish I hadn't knocked that case over. That's not hard to turn the scale back on, but in fact I usually leave the scale on. This one doesn't feel right. It obviously went the distance, but I had something jamming up the 4, 3. It's a little long. I'm going to set this one off to the side. Alright, you've probably seen enough of that. We'll see how hard it is to set the scale up. I've got it turned off, or had it turned off. So first thing I have to do is turn the powder on. Turn the powder on. Put a little cup full of juice here in the trickler. Zero it out. See if just turning it on will give me 50. $49.98. Again, that's as close as the scale's going to let me get. And that's all there is to it. So I'll go over here and see if I can spill another one. I haven't viewed anything on this video yet. I don't even know if there's anything that's salvageable on here. There, that one is nice. I'll do 4 more here. There's another hard one. I don't know why. We'll give it, you know what, I'm going to set this over different. These on this side, they're going to be foulers, or what some guys call blow-offs. I don't know why it was doing it. Can't say that it hasn't happened before. That one had a little bump to it, but not bad. But you can see, I don't think the scale is anything that you're going to scale, the gauge, whatever. I don't think it's something that I know I don't pay too much attention to once I get going. It's either feels right or it doesn't. Most time I'm not gonna, if it measures, I'm gonna shoot it. I may put it off in the, a side where I can, warm up the barrel with it, or foul the barrel. There's another one. Why is it? The neck is just tight. I don't know if I banged it or dropped it, or maybe it got bent up in the tumbling. That one bad. But definitely different than the others. Probably should have set her to the side. I guess I still can. Just like butter. You can feel the boat tail inner, and then the flat inner, and then it seats. You can almost imagine what the bullet's doing in there. Once again, though, boy, I'm very nervous about this thing. I think of it as a pipe bomb. You know, until I get it out to where it's just a rifle cartridge again. You can tell I'm not the best housekeeper in the world. Maybe the worst. I've always got 5 different projects going at the same time. And but I will do my best to keep the seating area clean to avoid an accidental discharge. You know what? We started seeing what the concentricity was. Let's see if I can, we could go look at that again and see if we made any real mistakes, or I don't think it could have gotten better from what it was, but hopefully it didn't get worse. All right, I'm going to turn you off and move you over by the concentricity. Now let's see how this goes. It's off the peg. That's less than 1/2 thousandth. That's as good as I can get it. And I think if I can get a group on paper, I'm going to be pretty happy with not touching the brass quite so much. Using the mechanization here to my advantage. See some of my little projects here. I'm sorting bullets, and I'm sorting primers, small rifle primers. I don't know how that's going to work out yet. Stay tuned for the further adventures. Thanks a lot. I hope this is going to be worth watching.